So if you thought I brought too many Rick Remender books last month, just wait. Woof woof, thank you for tuning in all you mad dogs. Now this video is going to be my month of May comic book haul. Now in April I mentioned that in the UK we are currently in lockdown, so I was spending quite a lot of time working from home, which meant that I was spending quite a lot of time looking for books online. I told myself that May was going to be a little bit different and I wasn't going to spend too much money, but here we are and it looks like I spent even more than I did the month before. Now I do want to give a shout out. I managed to find the NECA Ultimate T800 from Terminator 2, which is something that I've wanted for an absolute while. I've also wanted the Tech Noir, actually I've wanted the Prisoner Soul Terminator as well, and I've wanted all the T1000s, but I'm just glad that I managed to get this one, because without this one I didn't buy any of the others before it. It's a stunning figure for one of my favourite movies and I'm just glad to have it in the dog pound. So starting with my trade paperbacks, the first thing that I managed to pick up was the Northlanders Book 2 and Book 3 by Brian Wood. If you remember, I managed to find Book 1 last month, which is the hardest to find, and I wanted to quickly get the other two to complete the set. But I like the way that these books have been structured in the way that the story arcs go. So you've got the Icelandic saga, you've got the European saga, and you've got the Anglo-Saxon saga in the first book. So they aren't organised in order of the number of issues, it goes in order of chronology of the stories, which I really like. I'm planning on giving this a read through. Like I said, it's Vikings. I've read the first 8 issues and really liked it, so hopefully you'll see a review of this soon. Next up, and the first Rick Remender book on this list, is the Secret Avengers Ultimate Collection. Honestly, I found this for about £5 in the UK and it was too good of a deal to pass up, so I did just have to buy it. I've got quite a few of these complete collections, especially for this Avengers line. You know, I've got the Dark Avengers, I've got the Mighty Avengers, I've got New Avengers in hardcover, so it just feels nice to have something to round out my collection, and there's finally some kind of Captain Britain that's in my set. The final paperback that I got was the Boys Collection Volume 5. I've been picking these up steadily. I forgot to get them for a while, but I found this as well on the same site that I found Secret Avengers, so I got it for a really cheap deal. But I'm going to rush and get the other 2 volumes, and I feel like if you are getting it in this set as well, it seems like they're steadily growing out of print. Now for some more abstract books, the first one that I got was one from my girlfriend, which is The Art of Mana. It's entering our art book collection. It's got a lot of video game sketches that she really likes, and she's wanted this for a while. We saw it while she was in Manchester and I finally managed to see it for a decent price, so I brought it for her. Because I'm nice like that and I'm not always an arsehole. I also brought her Black Sad Volume 1, so she really liked the Castle in the Stars books, and Black Sad's one of those sort of European stories that everybody recommends as well. She's a big fan of cats, she likes murder mysteries and detective stuff, so this sounded great. I personally haven't read it, but she really seems to enjoy it. And the final kind of art book that's entering the dog pound this month is The Art of Mad Max Fury Road. I recently rewatched this film and my girlfriend did as well, and she really just loved all the visual effects of it, the design of it. We've watched all the special features on the Blu-ray. We're gonna end up buying that 4K black and white version just to see if it changes it in any way at all. But I really like art books of really interesting films, so I'm glad that this has entered my collection. So the first image book that I got this month was The Wicked and the Divine Volume 3. You can't really see the cover too well with the lights and everything, but it's got this really nice embossed kind of design to it. So it's got like gold, silver, this one's bronze, and I think the last one's some kind of like purple metallic foil. But I've steadily been getting all of these hardcovers and I'm due to get the 4th one soon, so then I'll finally do a read through of it, because it sounds like a series that I wanted to get all of it before I started reading it. In case you haven't heard, it's about gods becoming celebrities and all the things that go into that, and then the celebrities get like worshipped as gods, and every couple of years things change. As you can tell, I haven't really read it yet, because this is something that with a lot of image titles I don't like knowing too much before I start to read them. I like being given the tiny littlest bits of information and then I'll just go into it if I want to. I have that rule with a lot of Image and Vertigo books, because Why the Last Man's one of my favourite series and I knew barely anything going into it, and I think if anybody would have told me too much it probably would have spoiled it for myself, and I get the feeling like something like The Wicked and the Divine is going to be the same kind of rule. Next up, I brought Descender Volume 1, the deluxe edition hardcover. So weirdly, I've had Volume 2 in my collection for about 6 months now, and I completely forgot that I had it, and I completely forgot that I didn't have Volume 1. I noticed that Volume 1 was steadily going out of stock here, there and everywhere, and it doesn't look like it's coming back in print. Now I know Image is weird that the creators kind of decide what does and doesn't stay in print, but I wasn't sure if this was going to get a reprint too soon, and I didn't really want to have just like an orphan Volume 2 on my shelf. So again, this is something that I don't know too much about. I've seen a little bit of the interior art, but now that I've got both volumes I'm probably going to jump into this quite quickly. Now starting off the trend of Rick Remender books, I brought the End League Deluxe Edition. It's in the same format that the Fear Agent line library editions and all of these other Image Deluxe hardcovers come in. So I wanted this for my set. It's about a team that are finding the last artifacts of gods, and it happens to be Thor's hammer. Not gonna lie, the only real reason I brought it is because of the name Rick Remender. Like I said, I'm planning on doing Sept Remender, where I'm gonna read through as many of his books as I can. And I thought that this was something that I'd rather have in my set and not need it than need it and not have it. The art's really nice and I got it for a great deal, so I couldn't really say no to it, and it does look nice in the set. The next Rick Remender book that I got was Low Volume 1. Now if you watched my last month's haul, you probably saw that I got things like Deadly Class and I got Tokyo Ghost, and then all of a sudden straight after I bought them they just seemed to go out of print everywhere. So as soon as I saw that, I realised that I needed to get the last remaining books that I needed rather than having to hunt them on the aftermarket or pay eBay prices. I've heard quite a lot about this. It's about a world underneath the water where the post-apocalypse has happened, and due to that we've all had to go underground. So it's all about how we would survive underwater and then slowly kind of re-emerge as a result of that. It's still ongoing though, so I'm kind of hesitant to jump into this whilst it's still just got one volume out, in case it's one of those situations like everybody's got with Berserk at the moment where you have to change format, because I really like sticking to the way that I buy it originally. And to complete the set until Black Science gets reprinted, I got the Crawl Space Deluxe Edition. This is such a cool cover. I really like this. Like, it's got some kind of sticker printed on it so you can actually feel the texture difference between that and the hole in the head. But effectively this is a compilation of horror short stories that Rick Remender wrote with a various of different artists. I thought it was going to be more like the cover and it was going to be more in the same vein as the like Dead Rising series and stuff like that. But from flicking through it, the art varies quite drastically, so it's going to be interesting to finally get round to this when I start doing Sept Remender. Now the first DC book that I'm going to show you in my collection is Identity Crisis, the 10th Anniversary Deluxe Edition. Do you remember last month when I was showing you Crisis on Infinite Earths and I said, and I just thought it'd be good to have the Crisis trilogy, although I do kind of want Identity Crisis in this format? Well yeah, in that case you shouldn't be too surprised that I ended up buying this. I have read Identity Crisis when it originally came out, when I was reading quite a lot of stuff digitally, and I can't really remember how I felt about it. This seems to be quite a divisive story. You've got a lot of people who love it and thought it was a bold move, but then you've also got a lot of people who dislike it just due to some of those creative decisions it took towards some of the characters. So I'm planning on doing a reread of this just to see how I feel now that I've got a broader knowledge of DC characters than I did when I originally read it. Continuing with DC omnibuses, I also managed to pick up the New Teen Titans Volume 3 omnibus. This is one with a really nice spine, so it's all got a character for each one, which hopefully they continue with Volume 5. And because I was panicking and I thought it was going to go out of print when it seems like it won't be, I also picked up Volume 4 of New Teen Titans. So I'm finally caught up on them and I'm glad to have them in my set. It makes me in a good position for when Volume 5 actually comes out. Now I don't mean to flex on anybody, but in a great deal I managed to pick up the JSA Omnibus Volume 1, Volume 3, and the one that I'm most proud of in this set, I managed to pick up JSA Omnibus Volume 2 by Geoff Johns. Now I do not know why Volume 2s keep going into whale status when the other books are still readily in print, but my friend in one of the omnibus groups, Lucas, had a great deal on this set, so good that I couldn't pass it up, and I was just so excited to get this. People have said this is Geoff Johns' best work, which, considering how much I enjoyed Green Lantern, I am surprised that there's something that can top it. But I am just so happy that I managed to get this, seeing how much it's gone for on Amazon America since then. Now the first Marvel book that I got is something that I realised I didn't get delivered to my mum and dad's for a while, so that's why it was there. But I got the Young Avengers Omnibus by Kieran Gillen and Jamie McKelvey, which are the same creative team of The Wicked and the Divine. Now I read the original Young Avengers by Alan Heinberg. I read it quite a few years ago and I've still got the hardcover in my collection. And I picked this up and completely forgot about it, so it was at my mum and dad's for quite a while, with me never even knowing. For the most part it is a different team from the one that was in the previous Young Avengers, but I'm quite interested in it, even though I'm not sure why exactly this is an omnibus, considering that this was thinner than most of the previous Marvel hardcovers that used to come out. It just makes no sense to me. It seems like sometimes they put omnibus on so that they can charge you a lot more for it. So for a while now I've had the two complete collections of Hulk by Jeff Loeb, and I really like these. There's no real reason why I needed the omnibus. So anyway, I brought the omnibus because I wanted it in my collection, and I'm going to have to sell my complete collections of the Hulk now, but I really wanted this omnibus. Like I said, I love Ed McGuinness's art, so any way to get it bigger is a win for me. I don't know why I passed up on this for so long. I've read about the first 6 issues or so of that Hulk run when it was like on digital about a couple of years ago. I think I was still in like college at the time. But sometimes you just want that all-in-one complete hardcover, so that's why I buckled and I got the omnibus of Jeff Loeb's Hulk. Now in a similar story, I've had the 6 deluxe hardcovers of the Daredevil run, which starts off at Kevin Smith's run one and carries through with Brian Michael Bendis' run. I've had them for years now, and I had the chance to get the omnibuses originally, but I passed up on them because I just felt like there wasn't any need for them. I already had it in a deluxe size. So anyway, I brought the 2 omnibuses of Brian Michael Bendis' Daredevil series. This is genuinely one of my favourite runs of all time. This was the run that really made me go, yeah, I love comics. This is something that I am invested in, because I at that time had just read like Ultimate Spider-Man, I'd read Superman Batman, I'd read the first volume of John Byrne's Superman because we had it in my library at school. But for some reason I jumped on this Daredevil run. I remember seeing this image specifically and I was like, I don't know what this is, but I need to read it. Like the issue cover that I also remember is this one right here. I'm going to put it up bigger, but it's got like old design car, and I was like, so is Daredevil like set in the past? Is he like set in the 50s? And I don't know why that was the reason why I started reading this, but that's why I did. It's been one of my favourite series for years and years and years, so it makes no sense to me to not get the omnibuses of this, because I've got the omnibuses, as you can probably see, of Brubaker's run, I've got the Miller run, I've got the Shadowland omnibus, so it just makes sense to me. One of my favourite series needs to be in this deluxe omnibus size. But the problem is, because I brought those omnibuses, that it meant that I had an orphan volume 1 of the Daredevil series, so of course I then had to buy the Marvel Knights by Joe Quesada omnibus. Yeah, I know, I'm weak, I don't have any willpower, and admittedly this omnibus annoyed me when it first came out, because why is this called Marvel Knights? Like, reading through this, it's got Daredevil issues 0 to 15 and the half issue, Daredevil Father 1 to 6, Marvel Authentics Daredevil 1, and material for Marvel Knights Double Shot number 1. So literally only one issue doesn't have Daredevil in the title, but it's still called Marvel Knights down the side. So for me, as you can probably see, the majority of my collection is in alphabetical order. So does this go in D? Because I know in the bottom of my heart it's a Daredevil book, and the reason why I brought it is because it's a Daredevil book. Or do I have to follow the rules of my collection and put it in M because it's called Marvel Knights? I don't know why I bought this, considering how angry it makes me, but still, I needed it in the collection just to round everything out so I can finally sell all 6 of my deluxe hardcovers and hopefully recoup some of the losses that I brought from upgrading. From the same guy that I brought the JSA set from, I was very lucky to manage to pick up the Iron Man by David Michelinie Omnibus Volume 1. I read Demon in a Bottle before, but I think I was too young to actually really able to enjoy the story for what it was. And this is kind of like a mini whale now, so I thought I'd pick it up whilst I could see it, and I got a quite good deal for it. It's going to be interesting to read some Iron Man, because I've noticed that ever since the first Iron Man film came out, that he's basically just been Robert Downey Jr., whereas before it was a lot different from that, so it's going to be interesting to see how it was handled in what is considered like his seminal run. I don't know if a volume 2 is ever going to come out though, because it's very clearly got a number 1 here, but there's been no rumblings about a second volume coming out. And because the dude Lucas was so nice, he gifted me a copy of the Iron Man Extremis Deluxe Edition hardcover. I've been steadily reading this over the years, even though it's only 6 issues. It's taken me a bit of time to get through it, but I saw this in his settings, like, yeah, you can just have it. He was such a nice dude. And to continue the Rick Remender hype, in a similar way that I had Young Avengers and I completely forgot that it was at my mum and dad's house, I got the Uncanny Avengers Omnibus. Again, Rick Remender, it seems to run in parallel to his Uncanny X-Force series, so I wanted this in my collection, and it is kind of out of print now, but you can still pick it up for roughly around cover price if you look in the right places. And if you're in the UK, I'm sure you're probably going to hate me for this one. It's another Rick Remender book, it's another omnibus, it's something that's been quite hard to get, particularly like I said if you're in the UK, but I somehow managed to get my hands on the reprint of Uncanny X-Force. Yep, this is the omnibus, it somehow exists in the UK. I pre-ordered this from Amazon UK last year, like as soon as I saw that it came up. I think it was in like August, because I really wanted this. I've heard how much everybody's raved about it. I really got into my Wolverine since the time when it first got printed, and this is similar to Wolverine and the X-Men for me, that when it originally came out I just didn't have that much money to spend on omnibuses, so I'm really glad this came out, and despite this crisis it managed to find its way to me. Now I'm not sure where I stand with stuff like the Wolverine Omnibus reprint and the Amazing Spider-Man by JMS Volume 2, but I'm glad that this one's in my collection. Again, I don't know how they managed to get this one to me. It's not even in stock on Amazon, and it hasn't been since it was in pre-order, but I'm not going to question it too much. It's here, and I'm glad about that. Now let's just take a moment to have a little break and watch one of my old videos back. Punisher by Rick Remender, it was at a time when I hadn't really discovered him as a writer, so it's my own stupid fault that this book's on my list because I completely slept on it. I really wish it'd get reprinted, but honestly, it seems like there hasn't been any buzz about it. So it seems like this might be the whale that is always going to get away from me. Yep, I remember saying that and I genuinely believed that at the time, but my amazing girlfriend somehow managed to find me the Punisher by Rick Remender omnibus. As you know, this is one of my biggest whales and she somehow managed to find it and surprise me with it. I genuinely still can't believe that I've got it considering how many times this has slipped through my fingers in the past. I'm so pleased just to have it because I now near enough have every Punisher omnibus that's ever been made. The Punisher is one of my favourite characters. I love the dark side of the Marvel Universe, the street level stuff as you can see from Daredevil. And I am just really glad that this has finally entered the dog pound. It's going to be in my collection forever. There's no way that I could ever sell this and I'm already like anticipating reading it, but at the same time I'm like, should I read it? It's too much of a whale to be able to open, but I'm so glad I've got this. This is like the best book that I've got this month and I'm so glad that my girlfriend managed to find it for me. I can't thank her enough. In the off chance that she's watching this, thank you. So those are all the books that I brought in the month of May and hopefully you've had a good haul as well. Comment below with some of the best things that you've found or the best things that you've read. Admittedly, I do think that next month's going to have to be a skinny month for myself. I don't think I'm going to have this many books brought in. But if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you didn't like this video, why did you get this far? Subscribe if you haven't already and check out some of my other videos, and just make sure that all you mad dogs out there keep reading.